Today we shall start with the Indian political thought section. Now, see, when you first of all, let me discuss about the approach of your Indian political thoughts. What should be your approach? Once again, I'm telling you that no need to refer to books. If you want to gain more knowledge or more information, you can read books. Otherwise, I'll be sharing the study materials with you people. That would be sufficient. So, what should be the approach? Try to understand Indian political thoughts. To understand the Indian political thoughts, I believe it will be easier because we are more familiar, okay, compared to the Western political thoughts. However, the approach to Western political thoughts and Indian political thoughts are totally different. How? You have to understand that Western political thoughts, all of the thinkers whatsoever they have given those theories, you know, more or less they are towards the individualism. Okay? They are towards the individualism. So, uh, but Indian political thoughts, when you compare, you get thinkers who give the ideas for communities. So that is the biggest difference. Indians emphasis more on community, more on the society, and Western political thoughts. You see, they focus less on the communities or the less on the society, and they focus more on individual. So then we need to understand. I have divided this particular chapter into, let's say, 2 to 3 segments. We'll be understanding first. In the measure of the 2 segments, we will try to understand one part, that is ancient thinkers or thoughts. Okay. First is the ancient thinkers and thoughts, and then in the medieval history there is not much to discuss. So hardly there is any thinkers to discuss. So we will then next talk about the modern thinkers. That means we are skipping the medieval thinkers for a simple reason that there are no prominent thinkers to talk about who have contributed to the, you can say, the medieval section. So our major focus is to understand the 2 segments. One is the ancient thoughts, ancient political or ancient Indian political thoughts, and the modern Indian political thoughts. So that is the segment. Then what we should understand in this ancient and medieval? In the ancient, we will discuss about uh, majority of the things. Like for example, there are two major areas in the ancient we have to cover. Number one area is the Hindu tradition. Okay. And number two area we have to cover is Buddhist tradition. Okay. So in the ancient political thoughts, we will discuss the political ideologies in the Hindu religion, I mean Hindu tradition to be very specific, and the Buddhist tradition. These are the two areas we have to focus on. Then in the modern political thoughts, we will start like Syed Ahmad Khan. Then we will talk about Gandhi. We will talk about Aurobindo, Sir Aurobindo. We will talk about M.N. Roy. So those will be the coming under modern political thoughts. Okay. So am I clear now to all of you that what is the approach towards this Indian political thought?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is your overall syllabus of your Indian political thoughts. So you should also always keep in mind that what you should read first. Yeah. So very careful. Do not mix up. Things has to be always organized when you study for this civil service exam. First thing first, we will start with ancient. Then we will try to understand the ancient. First, we will try to understand the Hindu. Then we will try to understand the Buddhist tradition. Then we go to the modern thinkers. Now, you know that let us start with Hindu tradition. Now, Hindu tradition, there are under the Hindu tradition, there are two main important segments which we need to discuss. One is Manusmriti, another one is Kautilya. Okay, one is the Manu. We have to talk about Manu and Kautilya. And questions do come from that. Okay, so let the Indian thoughts. This we talk about ancient, and we will discuss about modern. In the ancient, normally what is the time period? It is starting from Greek Vedic period to 800 AD. This is the time period we discussed. Okay. Then in the ancient, we have two things. One is Hindu tradition. Hindu tradition. Another one is Buddhist tradition. So these are the two important things we shall discuss about it. Now, so here, first of all, we will talk about Hindu tradition, under which, as I told you, the two important personalities. One is Manu, and the one is uh, Kautalya. That means, for example, Manu has given. Any idea what is what Manu has given?
Dharmasastra.
Yes, Dharmasastra. Dharmasastra. Okay. Or you also say that Manusmriti.
Yes, sir.
Manusmriti. Kautalya has given
Dandasastra.
Dandasastra. I hope now we have outlined that Indian political thoughts completely that what we have to study. So now let us focus on one segment to talk and discuss about this Hindu tradition. First of all, some of the uh, things which you need to understand in the Hindu tradition. Let me come back to you. So one of the important thing in the Hindu tradition, you see that we have Vedas, we have Upanishad, and there is a quite clear-cut divisions also. I'm sure that you will be reading those things in ancient history as well as your art, architecture, and culture. So we will not talk about those things. We will talk about what political concepts from this work. So use Hindu tradition and all the life, I would say, all of the tradition that is based on these Vedas. Now again, there are two things which you need to understand that about these Vedas. First of all, of course, Vedas are written by those Rishi Muni Rishis. Okay, in the mythology only we know, but there is no testimony of that. But yeah, we have to also trust on certain things. We have to believe in sometimes, even if there is no scientific truth. But there are two ways how these Vedas have evolved. One way is that Shruti, another one is Smriti. Shruti and Smriti. SH and SMRITI. Smriti. Shruti and Smriti. What is the difference between Shruti and Smriti? Shruti, Shru stands for ear. When you listen something, it is called as Shruti. Smriti means when you write. Okay. So when you listen, it is Shruti. When you write, it is Smriti. Understand the initial written of the Vedas were based on Shruti, not Smriti. That means we did not have the manuscript for a so long time period. It's not only 1 or 2 years, it is hundreds and hundreds of year time period. We did not have any kind of Smriti. We did not have any kind of written document. They were based on Shruti. How? Let's say one Rishi has written, the Rishi will transfer all the information to his disciple. Then next generation, they will only tell and people will listen. So it is also have been assumed that many of information had been lost in this process of shifting, because this will depend on how much retention power the person has who is transferring it. So after understanding these two concepts of Shruti and Smriti, now let us understand uh, one of the important segment of the concept of dharma. Try to understand. Then I will later on discuss about Dharmasastra. First, understand dharma. Can you tell me that what is the meaning of dharma? If you talk about the general meaning of dharma, then you say religion. But if you talk about the actual meaning of dharma, try to understand that uh, till today there is no non-Indian language. There is no non-Indian language who could find out the translating meaning of dharma. Even there is no English meaning of dharma. Dharma is dharma. For specifically India, you have to understand one thing, that India, in Indian mythology, in Indian Vedas, there is a dharma and rita, R-I-T-A or R-I-T. Dharma and rita. Dharma specifically you talk about religion, and rita means politics. Interestingly, in India we have never separated the religion and politics. It was always one. But when you try to understand the Vedas meaning of dharma, a Dharmasastra which sometimes Manu has given, Manusmriti, here dharma is not meant by religion. Okay. How? See, you might have heard some of the dialogues in movies or serials that adharmo, no, sometimes like in Hindi also, adharm ho gaya. What do you mean by adharm ho gaya? Does it mean
Yes,
that
religion.
no, it is not religion. Adharm, if you have done something, adharm ho gaya, you have committed a sin, you have committed adharm. Those are the statements used in many of the Hindis. Understand, here the dharma is more towards duty, is more towards virtue. Dharma is not meant by religion. If saying that what is the dharma of a king, okay, what is the king's dharma? The Raja's Raj Dharma. Raj Dharma, Prajahit. Okay. So what is the duty of a king? The duty of a king is to look after his
People.
prajas, the people. That is the dharma. Here, dharma is not religion. Dharma is more, virtue. Dharma is the duty. Dharma is the responsibility which you have to take care of. And dharma also means to always stand by the right. That is dharma. So many times we say that uh, dharma leads to prosperity, adharma leads to destruction. Okay? Adharma leads to destruction. If you do adharma, if you do not do your duty, if you do not support what is right, then what would happen? There will be destructions, bad happenings. But if you follow the dharma, no matter how painful it is, then you can achieve moksha, heaven. Okay, so that is the concept dharma. Never misunderstand the dharma concept with religion. Uh, by speaking it is religion, but as we are studying the chapter of ancient uh, political thoughts, you should always remember that dharma here is not meant by religion. It is something else. Okay, like for example, uh, see what is the meaning of thoughts? Western, what is the meaning of thoughts?
विचार,
That I
सोच,
understood. But how do you explain a thought?
by expresses our view by mouth.
Yeah, that is true. See, thoughts are always, there are two segments of thoughts. I think I have already told you while starting this Western political thoughts chapter. Thoughts means time and space. Okay, what is a thought? Thought means somebody has said something or written something in a time according to the situation. That is space. That is thought. All of this, like Plato's thought, Socrates' thought. Why we say they are thought? Because they have contributed something in a particular time in a space. But do you know what is the Indian versions of thoughts? Many people they misunderstand this. They think Kala, Kala, Kala. What is Kala? We misunderstand the concept of Kala by saying it is past and present and future, like tense, no? Present tense, future tense, and then you have past tense. So sometimes we misunderstand by saying it is Kala. No. See, Kala, here in India, we do not have a difference between time and space. The time and space together known as Kal, like Bhutkal, uh, then Bhutkal, like there are many things related to this Kal. So, uh, like sometimes do not misunderstand by tomorrow. Huh? In Hindi, Kal is different and Kal is different. I'm talking about Kal, Kala. You can say in that way. So sometimes, when a person dies, also we say that uh, Kal. Kal means the person has achieved the future. But here we do not specify, but it is more of a understandable. It is more of assumption. Here the meaning of the kal is combination of the time and space. So that is how we need to understand the different small differences between the Indian thoughts and the Western thoughts that we have to keep it in mind. The There are smritis, as I told you, that shruti, these are spoken, and smriti, smritis are written. And out of all the smritis, one of the most important smriti is Manusmriti. Manusmriti. So this Manusmriti, of course, during that time, all were in Sanskrit. So for the first time, it was translated into English by Sir William Jones in 1794. So it was also, as I told you, based on Sanskrit, but it was translated into English by Sir William Jones, 1794. Now, there are a couple of, for example, Nietzsche is a person. Nietzsche has said that Manusmriti uh, is greater intellectual work than Bible. Who has said? Nietzsche has said that Manusmriti is a greater intellectual work than Bible. So there are also a couple of points which you need to understand that Manusmriti here, this has been criticized by many feminist scholars. Criticized by a feminist scholar. Okay, and there is a Ambedkar, B.R. Ambedkar. Ambedkar has said that he has suggested to put a dynamite, okay, dynamite on Vedas and Manusmriti. So that means Ambedkar has also criticized, feminist views have also criticized. Ambedkar even told that to put a dynamite on these Vedas and Manusmritis because uh, Manusmriti we will understand in detail, but it has also suppressed the Dalit community. That is the main reason. So let us understand going forward, as I told you, that Dharma, you know, the actual this Dharma word comes from a Sanskrit word, dhru, or dhr, dhr only. Okay, dhra. Dhra means what? It means to hold. To hold anything, to hold your duty, to hold your responsibilities, to hold your righteousness, okay, to hold. So in Atharva Veda, if you see in Atharva Veda, it is mentioned that Prithivim Dharmam Dhritam. This is written in Atharva Veda. Prithivim Dharmam Dhritam. What is the meaning of this Sanskrit statement? It means that life on earth continues because of dharma. Prithivim Dharmam Dhritam. This is the meaning of uh, you know dharma, which is mentioned in Atharva Veda. Life on earth continues because of dharma. Now, so we have also understood that this Manusmriti, what we could understood these things. So specifically, the majority of the work of the ancient Hindu tradition, we will discuss about Manusmriti as well as Dharmasastra. Now, there are certain things in the Hindu tradition which are also mentioned in Manusmriti and Dharmasastra, that what are the purpose of life? Tell me what is the purpose of life, or what are the goals of life? Any idea?
So in Vedas, four stages are write down, written.
What are what are that?
Uh, Balavastha, a type of
Hmm.
Yuvastha, and Ashramastha,
Those are
Vridhavastha.
those are stages of life,
Okay.
not purpose of life. So there are four purpose of life or four goals. What are they? Number one, dharma, to achieve dharma. Number two, artha. Number three, kam. Number four, moksha. Dharma, artha, kam, moksha. Now, these are also this purpose of life is otherwise known as purusarthas. Okay, purpose of life is otherwise known as purusarthas. So what are the purusarthas? There are four purusarthas. One is to achieve dharma, to achieve artha, kama, and moksha. Now, these are goals of life. Then, in Hindu, all tradition, the stages of life are also defined. Stages of life. What are the stages of life? Number one, you have to remember in sequence brahmacharya. Number two, grihasthe. Number three, vanaprastha. And sannyasa. Okay. So these are the four stages of life it has seen. What are they? Number one, brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means what? Remember, basically these stages of life are actually based on Ramayana. You know, there are two mythological scripts. One is Ramayana, Mahabharata. So Ramayana is older than Mahabharata. In the Ramayana, Maryada Purush Ramchandra, he has gone through these four stages. The initial stage when the people is when the person is at till the teenage, you can say there is no age specification, but in the initial stages the person should be brahmachari. Brahmachari means the person should devote always time without having any kind of wants. They should always learn new skills or should read under one rishi. Then grihasti. Grihasti means family. Next stage of life is vanaprastha. That means going to you know slowly going to the jungle, especially for what purpose? To find out the peace. And finally, sannyas. Sannyas means what? Leaving the worldly or the materialistic world. That is of sannyas. So these are the four stages of life from birth to this death. Okay. So this is the stages of life. And Hindu have in Hindu there is a different views of history. Okay, there are again uh, four views of history, and this is regressive. Regressive means they are backward looking. One is Satya Yuga, Satya Yuga, Tretaya, Tretaya, yeah, Yuga, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga. Okay, now we are living in Kali Yuga. So Satya Yuga is more progressive. Tretaya, Dwapar where basically you have the what do I say? Krishna. Okay, the Mahabharata concept, Dwapar, then Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is basically where it is regressive or the worst kind of thing. Then this is the related to history. What about the Varna? See, in Hindu, the Varna means the occupation. Now the Varna has been converted into caste. What are the Varnas? One is you have Brahman. Next you have Kshatriya. They have Vaishya and Shudra. Try to understand. Based on occupation, Brahmins will take care of God. Kshatriya will are the warrior class. So they are responsible to protect. Vaishya, they are responsible to do business. Hmm. And Shudra, they are responsible to manage the operation. I mean, day-to-day operation work of the city or maybe the small village. So that is the overall occupation that has been divided. So please write down a question. Write down a question, potential question. The question can be asked. I'm also writing the question. Explain the difference between Dharmasastra and Dandasastra. Write down. Explain the difference between Dharmasastra and Dandasastra. Have you written, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is a potential question in your examination. Now let us try to understand and answer it. Let us try to write down that how this can be answered. First of all, as I told you earlier, Dharmasastra is based on Smriti, that means Manusmriti, and Dandasastra is based on Kautalya's Arthasastra. Okay, so Dandasastra is based on Kautalya's Arthasastra. Dharmasastra is based on Manusmriti. Both are important. Now, what is Dharmasastra? First of all, Dharmasastra, this is a book on laws, principles, and Kautalya's Arthasastra or Dandasastra. This is, do not misunderstand the word Danda. Danda here is not punishment. Okay, it is something different. It means statecraft, or you can say governance. This is the major difference between Dharmasastra and Dandasastra. Now, interestingly, both Dharmasastra and Dandasastra, they carry similar thoughts, similar ideas. And in India, as I told you, uh, the Dharma and Danda are not separated. Okay, so whenever there is a discussion on Dharma, there will be discussion on Danda. You can say that Dharma and this Dharma and Danda, they are like two sides of a coin. So you see, then what is the difference? The difference is only in terms of degree and nothing else. So, uh, what is that in terms of degree, the difference? Understand this important point. In Dharmasastra, in Dharmasastra, this is Dharma, this is Danda. In Dharmasastra, the emphasis is given to whom? Dharma. And in Danda Sastra, This is danda. This is danda. The emphasis is given to danda. So this is the difference only. So what is the difference? Difference is in terms of degree, because most of the ideas they are somehow similar. Okay. So this is the understanding. You need to know that in Dharmasastra, the center of discussion is dharma. Then the danda will be discussed as a periphery. But in Dandasastra, danda, that means the state craftsmanship or the governance is the first discussion. Then the laws will come next. Okay, are you clear on this, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now there are two important questions. Please write down. One question is discuss prominent ideas on Manusmriti. Okay, this is one question. Another question can be discuss prominent political ideas. One is normal general idea, another one is political ideas on Manusmriti. Both are different. So this we have to, you need to, two important part of this, Manusmriti. Let us understand that now so far we have understood only the outline of the Manusmriti. Now let us understand the specific points what Manu is saying about the law and the state. Understand that the Manusmriti, we now came to know that the first focus on dharma, that means the law, and the secondary focus is on the state. So, what is the political ideas on Manusmriti? See, political ideas of Manusmriti is known as origin of state. This is also understood as quasi contractual theory. Okay, that means Indian versions of origin of state. So the political ideas of Manusmriti is nothing but origin of state. Now understand what is this political ideas of Manusmriti. In Manusmriti, it is said that state is nothing but a contract between man and God. Okay, then before the state, there was Arajakta. Now that means if you make a timeline, here is a state. Manusmriti says before the state, when state was not there. So this was the time. This is known as Arajakta. What is Arajakta? Arajakta, which means by the Hindu concept of Arajakta, this is also known as Matsya Naya. Matsya Naya. What is a Matsya Naya? The Matsya Naya means, let's say in a pond or river, there is a, let's say, big fish. Okay, the big fish is eating small fish. Okay, the big fish is eating small fish. You remember in the Western political thought, this concept is known as the rule of jungle.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, the rule of jungle. That means mighty is right. Here is also, this is the same concept. It is okay to eat the small fish by the big fish. Before that, it was the Arajakta. That means anarchy. Arajakta. Matsyanaya. Matsya means fish. But when the state came, okay, when the state came, then slowly the situation is in control. Now, but Manusmriti is interestingly saying that what happened, the people requested God. Who? People requested God. And God created king. Okay. So who is Manu? Manu is the first king. Okay. Manu is the first king. And Manu is Manuputra of Brahma. Who is Manu? Manu is Manuputra, sorry, Manasputra of Lord Brahma. Remember Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar? There are three important powers in the Hindu mythology. So Manu is the son of Brahma, and he is the first king. So now, and how this Manu is created? Manusmriti, it is also mentioned that Manu is created with elements with small fragments of all elements, small fragments of all elements. That means everybody has given power to Manu, all types of gods, all elements. Like for example, Bayu, okay, Yama, Kuber, Agni. You know the Indra. Indra is the king in the heaven. Indra has his own, people. All these Bayu, Yama, Kuber, Yagni, Varuna, Sun, Moon, they are the counselor king or council of ministers, you can say. So they have given a little bit to Manu. So now, did you know who is Manu? Are you able to understand who is Manu?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Simple. This is a story only. There is no scientific, of course, there is no science behind it, but this is just a story about who is Manu and how, from where Manu came. Manu is the son of Brahma. So this is what we are understanding. Now, see, as I told you that Manu is the first king. So after which also he has laid down some of the things that what is the king's dharma. That is, dharma is for everybody. Okay. But similarly, if there is a king, then what is a king dharma? Or similarly, Raj dharma? Then it is mentioned that what is the Raj dharma? What is the king's dharma? King's dharma is to respect Brahmins. To respect Brahmins. And king's dharma is to follow his Varna dharma. Okay, all this like Vaishya, Shudra, uh, Brahman, Kshatriya. So he should follow it. King has only executive and judiciary power. Okay, and king has to help people in achieving the goals of their life. Remember the goals of the life I told you? You know, in the initial stages, we have discussed briefly about the what are the goals of the life of the people. Those are like dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The king should also help people to achieve those four goals of life. King, there is also mentioned that king should not sleep. King should not sleep more than 4.5 hours. Do you want to be king? Do you want to be king?
Yes, sir.
But you are not allowed to sleep more than 4.5 hours. And I am not saying it is Manusmriti is saying then that king cannot sleep more than 4.5 hours. Okay. Anyways, there is no logic, but this is what it is written. Okay. So, king also should have some provisions for the orphans, destitutes. King also should, patronize the art, architecture. King also should construct and maintain the roads, wells. So those are the simple things. What is the dharma or Raj dharma? Okay. Now, another one important perspective of the state, you see that the most important function of the state is to punish those who do not observe dharma. So, hence, now try to understand Dharmasastra, as I told you, that it is more related to law. That what is dharma, how what are the responsibilities. Now, another aspect of the state, that means state, the most important part of the state is to control, is to maintain law and order, is to punish who do not observe dharma. Now, there comes next thing is Danda Sastra. That means Danda here, the actual meaning of Danda is punishment, but here Danda Sastra is means that more related to state's scrap. Okay. So, Danda Niti is the most important aspect of Niti Sastra. What is Niti? Niti means politics. And interestingly, Manu does not believe in equality before the law, before the law. He doesn't believe in that concept. Okay, he is more towards uh, the amount of punishment will vary as per Varna. Okay, the amount of punishment will vary as per the Varna. So in the ancient time, you see the brutal punishments like capital punishment. Okay, then you have like chopping of the hands, legs. These were common, and burning the person. These were common in the ancient times. Now, this is all about Dharma Sastra. All of you understood this idea? Any confusion, any difficulties, please ask.
No, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir. Fine.
Okay. So next thing, let us jump into Kautalya. 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 Sometimes many people pronounce in different way. You can pronounce Kautalya also. Okay, so that depends. Anyways, so Kautalya, you see, he was a minister and he is the mentor of Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya was the king, and Kautalya was the minister and mentor. So you see that Kautilya's Arthashastra is one of the finest, one of the finest, what should I say, work in the politics and diplomacy. Okay. Now, interestingly, you see the book written by Nehru, Discovery of India. This is written by whom? Written by Pandit Nehru. In here, he has mentioned that Kautilya is the Indian Machiavelli. Indian Machiavelli. Okay. Now, and for what reasons? Because of the two reasons. Number one, the concept what Kautilya has given on origin of state and the objective of the state. Of Understand this origin of the state and objective of states given by Kautilya, they are same as Manu. Understand? Origin of the state, no, how the state has like people requested God, then God has created king. First king is the Manu. So that is origin of state. Same. Kautilya also believes in same concept. What is the objective of the state? Is to punish, is to make sure that people observe dharma. And this is also same concept addressed by Kautilya. So this is the overall perspective, and interestingly, as I told you that these are both same. The next thing which you need to understand about the Kautilya's work, the most I think important work, is the organization of the state. Okay, what is organization of a state? This is also known as Saptanga theory. Question may ask on this. This is important. Direct questions do ask. Explain what is Saptanga theory of Kautilya. Or this is also sometimes known as seven limbs. Limbs means legs of state sovereignty. That means if the state uh, wants to claim the sovereignty, wants to claim the ultimate independence, then the state must have these seven types of features. Now, he says that important one. This is number one, king or nabhis. Okay. Sometimes in Mahabharata, in the when Arjun aims for a certain thing, then you might have heard that aim for Nabhi. Nabhi basically means what? Nabhi, in a human part, Nabhi is the center. So here the king is the center. That is the reason why king is also known as Nabhis. Understand? These are war strategy. Okay, that means this also says that if the king wish to protect the kingdom, what are the seven areas where the king has to focus? Similarly, if the opposition party, if the somebody wants to invade the kingdom, wants to destroy, then what strategies the person should adopt or the king should adopt so that the king can invade another kingdom. This is number one. Number two is amatya. You should also draw this diagram in your examination. Amatya means minister. This is number two. Then Durga. Durga means fort. Then Janpada. Janpada means rural area. Then this is number 3. This is number 4. Number 5. Kosha. Kosha means treasury. Then for 5. Next 6. Bala. Bala. Bala means army or force. Then you have last one 7. Mitra. What is Mitra? Allies or friends. So this is the important part, as I explained to you, that how the king should administer. King should, if the king wants to achieve the ultimate sovereignty over for his kingdom, king should always focus on number 1, to have a good ministers, amatyas, to have a fort to protect the kingdom. Fourth number, to look after the rural areas. Okay, because rural areas are most vulnerable areas. To look after the kosher, that means treasury, so that the kingdom has sufficient money. Money means that, those during those time it was not money, it was something else, but treasury at least. Then the king should also have a good army or the forts, border, and king also should have mitras, allies. Then only the king can protect the ultimate sovereignty. And whenever another opposition wants to invade the kingdom, so opposition can see that which one is the weakness of this kingdom and can attack accordingly. Okay. Now, these are the 7 organs of, you should say that, no, he says that normally this is written by Kautilya. He says that single will cannot run the chariot. This is told by Kautilya. Okay, he says that single wheel cannot run the chariot. Okay, so you need multiple wheels, and these are the wheels through which a king as a person can administer overall process or overall those concepts. So a little bit about each of the informations, that why Durga is important. First of all, first thing first, why ministers are important. See, minister is important so that ministers can advise the king. There can be a multiple ministers. You can see similar thing. See, today we have this as a prime minister. This is council of minister. Okay, today also the same thing. Only the names are different, but the concepts is same in the modern politics. If you say Durga or fort, we have like state boundary. Okay, Janpad, we also look after this rural areas. That is also another reason. Now this is also called as a red light area. See what happened in Chhattisgarh. Okay, and because of this Naxalism increasing, why? Because of the non-developmental work in rural areas. Kosher treasury, our money has to be there. Our GDP is important. Army, Air Force, Navy, these are our world. Mitra alliance, that is a foreign international relations or foreign relations. Are you able to co-link with the modern politics? All of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, John,
Yes,
Premkumar,
sir.
Yes,
are
sir.
you there?
Yes, sir.
I hope
Yes,
you are
sir.
able to co-link with the modern politics. That Kautilya has given that concept is so long years before, but till today it is useful. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
first thing,
Really good.
ministers are important so that they can advise the king as to what the king should do. Durga, why Durga is important? Durga is important, especially forts, as a part of the strategic significance, because offensive power. We also like If you see India's offensive power in Siachen Glacier, in Himalayas, why we have this Siachen? Because it gives us an edge, strategic power over Pakistan. That is the reason King also used to have multiple forts over multiple locations. Janpat, Janpat, as I told you, that rural areas are needs to be well taken care of. The securities, their welfare activities has to be taken care of. Coastal treasury, again, I told you that if the kingdom does not have sufficient money to survive, then how can the kingdom will run? Hmm. Then you have bold Mitra alliance. Mitra alliance is important. So today you can co-link this Mitra alliance as international relations or foreign relations. So this is the overall understanding of the concept of Kautilya, what he is saying. Now, another important concept of Kautilya, this is also another direct questions do come. That question is known as Mandal Siddhanta. Mandal Siddhanta. Or this is also known as theory of circle. Mandal Siddhanta or theory of circle. Very important. Okay. From the Indian political thinkers, these are the most important areas where questions do come. What is Mandal Siddhanta or theory of circle? Do you remember uh, how Abhimanyu got killed in Mahabharata? Any idea?
Yes, sir. Uh, in Chakravyu.
Chakravi. What is that Chakravi?
Chakravyu was he was surrounded by enemies
Hmm.
and no way to escape from that.
Hmm. So Abhimanyu only knew, you know, how to enter, but he did not know how to exit. That was the problem. You know, you must have also seen the Bahubali movie. Have you seen that? Both of the parts?
Yes, sir.
Bahubali is a popular movie. Have you, when the Bahubali in the movie War Strategy, have you seen that? There are sometimes they say that use this strategy, use that strategy. All these things are
Yes, sir.
nothing but war
Trishul.
strategies. Okay? Trishul, some concept or whatever. So
Yes, sir.
what is Mandal Siddhanta? Mandal Siddhanta theory of circle is nothing but war strategy. Okay, so that means how to prepare for the war. This also Mandal Siddhanta theory of circle. This also explains nature of relation between states, and that is based on geopolitics. You can say that this is nothing but a balance of power. Balance of power. Okay, this is Indian version of balance of power. Now understand, Mandal Siddhanta explains about 12 kings, okay, or nothing but 12 circles of state. Now this 12 mandals or 12 states, 12 kings, how this circle can be formed? I'm drawing the circle. First thing, one, this is known as basic issue. Second circle, two, this is known as RE. RE means enemy. Third circle, this is known as Mitra. Okay, so similarly, there are 12 number of circles, up to 12 different circles. I'll just write it down here. This is one, two, three. Then fourth one is Ari Mitra. Fifth one is Mitra Mitra. Sixth one is Ari Mitra Mitra. Then there will be kings in the back. I'll explain you. No need to worry. You have 7 Prashna Nigra. Then 8 Akrant. That means friend in back. 9 Parso Nigra Saro. Parso Nigra Saro. 10 Akrant Sara. 11 Udasin. Udasin means neutral. 12 Madhyama. Madhyama means first. Okay, so this is the overall 12 different circles, 12 different mandals, what Kautilya is explaining in the theory of circle or mandal Siddhanta. Let me just explain a small thing, how it is relevant to, first let me explain this one. See, first of all, this king has to always protect the sovereignty of his kingdom. Now, as I told you that it is balance of power. Okay, so if there is a kingdom, it doesn't mean that only one kingdom. There will be, let us, here is another kingdom, another kingdom, another kingdom. There are so many kingdoms are there. And what is the, one of the aim of the kingdoms? So they always try to invade another kingdom. So this mandal theory, mandal siddhanta, explains how to protect yourself also. Okay, so that means, let's say there are A, B, C, D, E. So they should always maintain a good relation with each other. Otherwise, what would happen? There will be war. But it is not possible to maintain a good relation with another always. And that is another reason why how we should place our friends and enemies strategically. Now, if you want to know this Mandal Siddhanta easily, let me give you a live example or the current example. You see that currently in the contemporary relevance, especially these are the currently the world is interdependence. What is interdependence? That means if we say that India is a country, we want to stand alone, and we will do everything alone, that is not going to work. Why? Because we are dependent on everyone. We are dependent on the USA. USA is dependent on us. So every country is dependent on each other in one or other way. That is also because of the globalization. So now see what is the strategic move. You know that in case of India, here is the Pakistan, Pakistan, India. You see that India and Pakistan are enemy, but there is also Afghanistan, Afghanistan. So India and Afghanistan are friends, and India, Pakistan are enemies. That is the reason. See, there is enemy in the middle. Then what would happen? If Pakistan attacks us, then at least we have somebody, some friend in our back who can support us by attacking Pakistan. So this is nothing but the Mandal Siddhanta. Okay, so how the foreign relations should act with each other. That is the overall concept of Mandal Siddhanta. Did you understand, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then another important concept you need to understand: fourfold policy. What is fourfold policy? It is a policy of diplomacy. And diplomacy can adopt four options. What are the four options? Sama, Dam, Danda, Bhed. Sometimes you say that Sam, Dam, Danda, Bhed. What is this Sam, Dam, Danda, Bhed? These are nothing but Kautilya's fourfold strategies of diplomacy. Sama means peace. You should first approach the peace. Dam means what? Cost, economy. Danda means punishment or coercive. And Bhed means use of spy or detective. So Sama Dama Danda Bhed. That means when we use diplomacy with another country, we have to adopt these four strategies. We have to adopt peace. We have to be offering with economic. Danda, sometimes punishment is required. Coercive actions and Bhed. Bhed means to enter. That means to use spy. The Kautilya has suggested to use spy in the war as well as with respect to the internal administrations. Okay, so in every case, you have to use these four strategies, especially for this four strategies policies in the diplomacy. Now, he has also said that Kautilya has also, apart from these war strategies and as well as the interstate relation, all these strategies are nothing but interstate relation. He has also said about ambassadors. See, you can see that maximum things of Kautilya strategies are relevant today. Today also we have this diplomacy. Okay, today also we have ambassador like Indian ambassador in different countries. So he says that the quality of ambassadors are important. So interestingly, he says who can be an ambassador? Ambassador should be always a handsome person. Okay. So Kautilya says that an ambassador should be always a handsome person so that the person can manage. Of course, handsome word is used because during that time preference was given always to the man and preference was not given to the woman. And now this is the concept of the ambassador, what he is talking about. Then what else we have? Let us have a last about this chapter, last topic, that is comparison between Kautilya and Machiavelli. Any idea? Any comparison can you give? Machiavelli. Any idea? What can be compared between Kautilya and Machiavelli?
So similarities are there, like
Hmm.
our about their motherland.
Hmm.
Uh, Both wanted improvement in internal conditions.
Hmm.
Talking about foreign policy and statecraft,
Hmm. Okay. Good.
or both explain politics as a power,
Okay. Sounds good.
terms of power, and they both they about according to them, human is a
Hmm.
selfish in nature,
Hmm. Correct.
and uh, according to them, king is ruled with iron hand.
Hmm. Okay. Sounds good. So
Yes.
now,
And
if you see the overall concept of Kautilya and Machiavelli, understand Kautilya belonged to the ancient India. Okay. First of all, they are not comparable because of time, but they are also comparable because of thoughts. So Kautilya belonged to ancient India. So sometimes there is also like you see Machiavelli belonged to a Western, or you can say modern thinkers, 16th century. Okay, so first of all, an ancient concept with a modern concept, and most importantly, now there are also criticisms when in the discovery of India, what Nehru has said that Kautilya is Indian version of Machiavelli. There is also criticism that Machiavelli should be known as in the Western version of Kautilya, not the vice versa. Are you getting the statement? Kautilya is known as Indian version of Machiavelli, but Kautilya first, Machiavelli is second. So first, Kautilya should be treated first. So that's the statement should be Machiavelli is the Western version of Kautilya. Anyways, but now the Kautilya is recognized as Indian version of Machiavelli. Uh, so if you compare in the time, of course, these are not comparable. But there are a lot of similarities. Similarities that are both are realist. Both believe that human nature is corruptible. Okay, human nature is selfish, and of course, both has put emphasis on the state, especially controlling the people, like what Kautilya has suggested in the Dharmasastra. Both also functions, sanctions use the religion as the interest of the nation, and there are certain immoral means. Okay? Ethics should not be looked as a core principle. When it is required, then it should be looked up to, and when it is not necessary, you can ignore the ethics. So these are the overall point of view. These are the overall strategies or similarities between Kautilya and Machiavelli. So I have already discussed all the important points related to the Kautilya, Dharmasastra, Manusmriti in this class. That's it for today. In the next class, I will start a new segment, that is Buddhist tradition. We will talk about what Gautam Buddha has said, what are the principles of Gautam Buddha, of course, from the political point of view only. Then we will jump into the modern Indian thoughts. Clear, all of you?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So